The evolution of human civilization has been fundamentally shaped by our ability to communicate, collaborate, and innovate across generations, creating a complex tapestry of cultural, technological, and social developments that continue to influence our modern world in ways both profound and subtle. From the earliest cave paintings in Lascaux and Altamira that demonstrated humanity's innate desire to express abstract thoughts and preserve experiences for future generations, to the sophisticated digital networks that now connect billions of people instantaneously across vast geographical distances, the story of human progress is essentially the story of how we have learned to share knowledge, build upon the discoveries of our predecessors, and adapt to changing circumstances through collective intelligence and creative problem solving. The agricultural revolution that began approximately 10,000 years ago marked the first major turning point in this journey, as nomadic hunter-gatherer societies gradually transitioned to settled farming communities, leading to population growth, the development of specialized crafts and trades, the establishment of permanent settlements that would eventually become cities, and the emergence of complex social hierarchies and governance structures that were necessary to manage larger groups of people living in close proximity. This fundamental shift from subsistence living to agricultural surplus created the conditions for the development of writing systems, mathematical concepts, architectural innovations, and artistic expressions that we recognize as the foundations of civilization, while simultaneously introducing new challenges related to resource distribution, social inequality, territorial disputes, and environmental management that continue to influence human society today. The ancient civilizations that emerged in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, China, and Mesoamerica each developed unique solutions to these challenges, creating diverse cultural traditions, religious beliefs, political systems, and technological innovations that reflected their specific geographical conditions, natural resources, and social needs, yet also demonstrated remarkable similarities in their approaches to fundamental human concerns such as governance, education, trade, warfare, and the search for meaning and purpose in life. The rise and fall of empires throughout history has illustrated both the potential for human achievement when large-scale coordination and resource mobilization are successfully implemented, and the inherent fragility of complex social systems when faced with internal corruption, external threats, environmental changes, or the inability to adapt to new circumstances, providing valuable lessons about the importance of flexibility, inclusivity, sustainable practices, and effective leadership in maintaining social cohesion and prosperity over extended periods. The classical period of Greek and Roman civilization introduced concepts of democracy, philosophy, scientific inquiry, and legal frameworks that would profoundly influence Western thought for millennia, while the simultaneous flourishing of other great civilizations in Asia, Africa, and the Americas contributed equally important innovations in mathematics, astronomy, medicine, engineering, and social organization that often remained unknown to European cultures until much later periods of exploration and cultural exchange. The medieval period, often characterized as a time of stagnation in popular historical narratives, actually witnessed significant technological advances including improvements in agricultural techniques, the development of mechanical clocks, the invention of printing with movable type, advancements in navigation and shipbuilding, and the establishment of universities that formalized higher learning and scholarly research, while religious institutions preserved and transmitted classical knowledge through turbulent times and facilitated cultural exchange between different regions and civilizations through pilgrimage, trade, and missionary activities. The Renaissance represented a conscious effort to rediscover and build upon classical learning while embracing new methods of scientific observation and artistic expression, leading to revolutionary discoveries in astronomy, anatomy, engineering, and mathematics that challenged existing worldviews and established new paradigms for understanding the natural world and humanity's place within it, while simultaneously producing artistic masterpieces that continue to inspire and influence creative expression across all mediums. The age of exploration that followed brought European civilizations into direct contact with the Americas, Africa, Asia, and Oceania, resulting in an unprecedented exchange of plants, animals, technologies, ideas, and diseases that transformed societies on all continents, though often with devastating consequences for indigenous populations who lacked immunity to Old World diseases and faced displacement, enslavement, or cultural destruction as European powers established colonial empires to extract resources and establish strategic advantages over their competitors. The scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th centuries fundamentally altered humanity's approach to understanding the natural world by emphasizing empirical observation, mathematical analysis, and experimental verification over traditional authorities and religious dogma, leading to groundbreaking discoveries by figures like Galileo, Newton, Kepler, and Harvey that laid the foundation for modern physics, chemistry, biology, and medicine, while also introducing new methods of investigation and knowledge validation that would accelerate the pace of scientific discovery in subsequent centuries. The Enlightenment built upon these scientific advances to promote reason, individual rights, religious tolerance, and democratic governance as fundamental principles for organizing human society, inspiring political revolutions in America and France that established new models of constitutional government and inspired liberation movements around the world, though the implementation of these ideals remained incomplete and often contradictory, as evidenced by the persistence of slavery, colonialism, and various forms of social inequality that would require ongoing struggles for civil rights and social justice to address. The Industrial Revolution that began in Britain during the late 18th century transformed human society more rapidly and completely than any previous development in history, introducing mechanized production, steam power, railroad transportation, and factory systems that dramatically increased productivity and created new forms of wealth, but also generated unprecedented social problems including urban overcrowding, environmental pollution, worker exploitation, and economic inequality that required new forms of social organization, labor movements, and government regulation to address. The 19th century witnessed an acceleration of scientific and technological innovation including the development of electricity, the telephone, photography, the internal combustion engine, and the discovery of electromagnetic waves, while also seeing significant advances in medicine, chemistry, and biology that extended human lifespan and improved living conditions for many, though the benefits of these advances were unevenly distributed and often came at the cost of environmental degradation and resource depletion that would become increasingly problematic in later centuries. The 20th century brought both unprecedented human achievement and unparalleled destruction, as scientific and technological advances led to space exploration, electronic computers, medical breakthroughs, and global communication networks, while also enabling mechanized warfare, weapons of mass destruction, environmental pollution on a planetary scale, and social disruptions that challenged traditional institutions and value systems, forcing humanity to confront fundamental questions about the responsible use of technology, the balance between individual freedom and collective security, and the long-term sustainability of industrial civilization. The two world wars demonstrated both the destructive potential of modern technology when applied to warfare and the remarkable capacity for international cooperation and rapid innovation when faced with existential threats, leading to the establishment of global institutions like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and various international courts and treaties designed to prevent future conflicts and promote peaceful resolution of disputes, though the effectiveness of these institutions has remained limited by national sovereignty, cultural differences, and competing economic interests that continue to generate tensions and conflicts in various regions of the world. The Cold War period that followed World War II created a bipolar global order that channeled competition between capitalist and communist ideologies into technological rivalry, proxy conflicts, and diplomatic maneuvering that shaped international relations for nearly half a century, while also spurring innovations in computing, telecommunications, material science, and space technology that would eventually transform civilian life and create the foundation for the modern information economy. The decolonization movements that gained momentum after World War II challenged European colonial empires and led to the creation of dozens of new nation-states, though the process of achieving genuine political and economic independence proved far more complex than simply removing foreign political control, as many former colonies struggled with ethnic conflicts, economic dependency, weak institutions, and the legacy of colonial exploitation that had disrupted traditional social structures and economic systems. The environmental movement that emerged in the 1960s and 1970s raised awareness about the unintended consequences of industrial development and consumption patterns, leading to new regulations on pollution, the protection of endangered species and natural habitats, and international agreements to address global environmental challenges like ozone depletion and climate change, though progress in these areas has often been slow and insufficient given the scale and urgency of environmental problems that continue to threaten ecosystem stability and human well-being. The information revolution that began with the development of personal computers in the 1970s and accelerated with the creation of the Internet in the 1990s has fundamentally transformed how humans access information, communicate with each other, conduct business, and organize social and political activities, creating unprecedented opportunities for education, creativity, and global collaboration, while also generating new forms of inequality, privacy concerns, security vulnerabilities, and social fragmentation that challenge traditional notions of community, authority, and truth. The globalization of trade, finance, and communication has created an interconnected world economy that has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and enabled the rapid spread of innovations and cultural expressions across national boundaries, but has also increased economic volatility, cultural homogenization, and the vulnerability of local communities to distant economic and political decisions over which they have little control, leading to populist backlash movements and renewed emphasis on national sovereignty and cultural identity in many parts of the world. Today, humanity faces a unique set of challenges that require unprecedented levels of international cooperation and long-term thinking, including climate change and environmental degradation that threaten the stability of natural systems upon which all life depends, growing inequality within and between nations that undermines social cohesion and democratic governance, rapid technological change that displaces traditional forms of work and social organization faster than new institutions can adapt, demographic transitions that create aging populations in developed countries while developing countries struggle to provide opportunities for large youth populations, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and cyber warfare capabilities that create new forms of security threats that transcend national boundaries and traditional military responses. The COVID-19 pandemic that began in 2019 demonstrated both the vulnerability of modern civilization to global health threats and the remarkable capacity for scientific collaboration, rapid innovation, and social adaptation when faced with a common challenge, leading to the development of effective vaccines in record time while also revealing significant weaknesses in international coordination, public health infrastructure, and social safety nets that must be addressed to prepare for future pandemics and other global emergencies. The ongoing development of artificial intelligence, biotechnology, renewable energy systems, and other emerging technologies offers tremendous potential for addressing many of humanity's greatest challenges, including disease, hunger, energy production, and environmental restoration, but also raises important questions about job displacement, privacy, autonomy, and the equitable distribution of benefits that will require careful consideration and proactive policy responses to ensure that technological progress serves the common good rather than exacerbating existing inequalities or creating new forms of social control. As we look toward the future, the lessons of history suggest that human progress depends not only on technological innovation and economic growth, but also on our ability to develop inclusive institutions, sustainable practices, and shared values that enable diverse communities to cooperate effectively in addressing common challenges while respecting individual rights and cultural differences, requiring a delicate balance between local autonomy and global coordination that has never been more important or more difficult to achieve than it is today.